Hi, Solo Sue here. I just wanted to give sort of a recap. I'm just off of the Carnival Panorama, and it was the first sailing that they had. And there have been a couple of developments. First of all, on the Panorama, I can almost speak. On the Panorama, they had a propulsion, some kind of technical difficulty that affected their ability to cruise at top speed. And so, even before we got on the ship, we were told that the order of ports was going to be a little different. So originally, we were supposed to have one sea day, and then we were supposed to be in Cabo from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. And then we were going to Mazatlan and to Puerto Vallarta. And then we were going to have two more sea days and be back in Long Beach. What actually happened was they moved Cabo San Lucas to the end, and they gave us two sea days to begin with. They got us all the way down to Puerto Vallarta. So we did Puerto Vallarta first, and then we did Mazatlan, and then we went to Cabo, but our stay in Cabo was very short. So originally, as I said, we were supposed to arrive at 10 a.m. We arrived at 6 in the morning, which, if you know anything about the ports, if you go out at 6 in the morning or even 7 or 7:30 once the ship clears, nothing's going to be open yet because they don't expect people there that early. And most of the tours, of course, aren't geared for the ships getting in that early. But the biggest part of impact was that the last tender back to the ship, because Cabo was a tender port, was going to be at 1 p.m. And so effectively, it gives us a very, very short window. And so some of the excursions, I'm sure, were canceled. I didn't have an excursion booked. I was going to go and well, at least not through the cruise line. I did a all access pass to the Rio Palace that I was going to go and videotape, but with that amount of time, it was clear that it was just not going to happen. So I did not. I briefly got off the ship probably around 10:30, and just shopped a little in the port and hopped back on the ship very quickly. And so it was almost like not being in a port. Some people still did manage to get on their shore excursions though, so hopefully they had a good time there. The other thing that I just wanted to mention, I am going through, of course, and editing my videos, and those will be released fairly soon, but I just wanted to mention something. The CDC site where they color code the ships. Now, this was the first voyage of the Panorama, and the ship is now listed on the CDC site in yellow, and it says CDC has investigated and ship remains under observation. And that doesn't go to yellow unless there is COVID on board. Now, down the hall from my cabin, I was on deck 2. There was a cabin that frequently, almost every time I passed it, had both security and ship's officers, the people in the whites, there at the cabin. Some of them were talking to the people inside of it. At one point, there was a lady who looked just exhausted, the poor thing, and she was sitting on a chair in the hallway. And every time I came by, it seemed like there was something where they were talking to the people in the cabin or something going on, and I didn't understand what it was. It wasn't raised voices or anything. It didn't sound like it was, some kind of combative thing, but something was clearly going on there. And when we did reach the first port, there were people out there with the big luggage tag, the things they carry luggage on, whatever they are, luggage carts. And they had a bunch of bags packed up, and that was the last time that I saw anybody in that cabin. So they were clearly debarked at the first port. Whether it was COVID or not, I don't know. I just know that that poor woman looked so exhausted. I would hope that if she was COVID positive, they wouldn't have her sitting out in the hallway. But, we don't really know what caused them to have to leave the ship. By the same token, at one point, walking by one of the lounges, they had people in full medical gear, and it looked like it was a line for testing for COVID. So I assumed that was probably COVID testing during the cruise for the unvaxxed passengers. And at one point, I tried to get into one of the conference rooms when I was doing the ship tour video, just because, I've lobbied my group a long time that we should really do our annual meetings on a cruise ship. So I wanted to see what the conference room looked like and if they could accommodate us, right? But they told me, when I asked how come it was locked, because it was locked, they told me that it was locked because it was being used as a meeting place for the people who are not vaccinated. So I thought that was interesting, and so I just kind of wanted to throw this out there, since we are starting to see some news reports about both the issue with being able to make their top cruise speed, which is going to be affecting subsequent cruises, because of course we didn't get back until 10 o'clock in the morning to Long Beach, and then it took until I think I got off the ship at like 1 or 1:30 finally, and I wasn't the last group. So obviously that's going to push embarkation for the new passengers out too, because obviously you can't bring on passengers until you have everybody off the ship. And there were notices that were sent to people who have subsequent cruises telling them that, that this was going to happen, that they were going to rearrange the ports and that sort of thing. And so apparently Cabo is the port that gets sacrificed the most. But, that said, I had a wonderful cruise. I really enjoyed myself. It was awesome to be back on a cruise ship. And so, take this sort of with a grain of salt, but it's what's going on, and I thought I'd give you guys a heads up. Thank you.